I was last here on this stage 7 years ago in 2015, which is wild to me, and I have since then attended and also sent several members of my team. I just think it's a fantastic event. Gets better and better every year. So super excited to be here. Yes, my name is Lisa. I am currently working in B2C growth and product marketing at Klarna. I think you all probably know what Klarna is, but I'll get into it a bit more. And I'm also a startup coach and an advisor. I'm based in Stockholm, did live here in Berlin for 4 years, so coming back here is truly like coming home. And I'm going to talk to you today about how to supercharge your app proposition with user insights. All right, so here's the secret. People do not care about what you do. They don't care what your app does. They don't care about your features. They don't care what category you're in. The only thing they care about is how your app can help them, how any product can actually help them, right? So how can you know how your product can help them? There is one very important way to do this, and that is by actually talking to your customers. So today I'm going to explain to you why you can't just look at data and why you have to go actually have a human conversation with a real person. Because the answers to this, they are not inside your head. You probably have a lot of assumptions. You have a lot of data, and I'm sure that some of them are right. But the actual answers are inside your customers' heads. And if you don't go talk to them and get the answers out of their heads, then you're not going to be able to do as effective marketing to show how your product solves their problem. Are any of you familiar with jobs to be done theory? Anyone? Raise your hand, yeah? I'm not going to go into a ton of detail on it, but it's a marketing theory and that describes customer behavior. So I'm going to explain a little bit about how you can think about jobs to be done to develop your app proposition. Because nobody wakes up in the morning, in the case of Klarna, thinking, I really need a shopping payments or banking app. Like, that's what I need this morning. They just roll out of bed. Demand is not spontaneously generated, in other words. What happens is that you have an inability brought on by a context change. So people wake up, and then that day, there's a push or a pull of something, and it's too much to ignore, and something has to change. They want to make progress in their lives to something different. Again, in the case of Klarna, it might be, those Glastonbury tickets, they're on sale. I have to get them. I need to pay for them. They're kind of expensive, but if I split up the payments, I'll feel better about it. Or I was going to buy this birthday present for my sister. My car broke down yesterday. I had to pay for that. Now I'm kind of squeezed in my budget, but oh my gosh, I have to buy her this present anyway. Or it's like, hey, hot bag drop. Gucci came out with this new bag. It's limited edition. It's in this color. It's going to sell out. I have got to get it. Right? These are the things that push people. It's not like, yeah, I really want to download an app today. So what people do, and this is what jobs to be done theory is people hire your app to do a job for them, to make progress in their lives from one state to another. So a few important things to know about this. These jobs exist with or without your app. Your app doesn't create these jobs. People have this problem already in their lives, and they will either solve it a different way or they won't solve it at all. So you hope that your app is the solution to their problems, but you have to do a good job of explaining to your customers why that is. The other thing is, no one is going to knowingly pay for things that don't give value. And I'm not talking about the subscription you forgot about on your credit card, right? If you're aware of it, you're using this thing, it doesn't give you value, you'll stop using it. So you have to deliver on the promise that you're telling people. And the third thing is that language market fit matters. If you're not familiar with language market fit, go Google this article that my colleague at my Growth Accelerator wrote. It's brilliant, because it's just as important to me as product market fit, is language market fit. Are you speaking the language that your market understands? So here's an example here. How many of you describe your app as an all-in-one app? I hope none of you. Oh, you're going to go back and think about that, right? Because if somebody has in their head these anxieties, goals, these pains, these struggles, and they come to your landing page, they come to your app store page, and they see an all-in-one app with a bunch of features, and it costs this much, what the hell does that mean? But if they have all these anxieties and goals and hopes and struggles in their head, and they come to this landing page or app store page, and they see, yes, that's my anxiety, that is my hope, that's what I want to achieve, and this is how you're going to solve that for me? Oh yeah, awesome, you read my mind. That's exactly what I want. So at this point, you might be thinking, well, we have UX researchers, so we do this already. Or we can send out surveys. We send out surveys, let me just do with a survey. And those are great tools, but they are not the only tools. And those are not shortcuts you can use in this case. You actually do need to talk for 30 minutes to someone who's recently downloaded your app, so the journey is fresh in their minds. You need to ask them these questions, and you need to listen to the answers. Now I'm going to tell you what questions they are, so hold on. These questions, it's not, how did you learn about our app? Because they're going to say, oh, I think I saw an ad on Facebook or something, right? What you actually want to learn here is you want to learn, what was the journey that brought them to start using your app in the first place? And what is your app allowing them to achieve, right? So asking, what does using our app allow you to achieve? This is a really revealing question. And when they answer this, listen to what they say, and don't just let them off the hook. If they say, it makes my life easier, okay, why is it important that your life be easy? Right? Everyone's going to say easier, faster. They're going to say something surface level. And you're going to dig until you find out why is that important to them? Because that's different for everybody, depending on where they are in their lives. Now, I can say I want things to be easier because I have 3 kids and my life is a nightmare, but that's not going to be the case for everybody. So then ask them, this is where it gets into therapy, so it might feel kind of uncomfortable, but ask them, how does that make you feel? Why does that make you feel if something is easy for you, what does that give you? And people will say all kinds of things that you did not expect. So when you hear that, when you hear a word that stands out to you, and they say, well, this product, it makes me feel safe, it makes me feel happy, it makes me feel whatever it is, say more about that. What do you mean by that? Don't let them off the hook. Important other things to ask is, what else are you using to achieve that feeling besides this? Because you might think it's only your competitors, it's another competitor app. And often, it's going to be a different tool entirely, or it's going to be like a pen and paper. So understanding the actual alternative solutions will help you better understand what is the real competitive landscape, and how does my customer journey interact with those other points in the competitive landscape. The other important thing is that don't just think of these list of questions as just I got to run through them, bang, 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 boom. You might spend the entire 30 minutes on the first 2 questions because you're just digging and having a conversation and getting so many insights. So really important, it's a conversation, not an interview. So what do you get from all this, right? You have this conversation, you do maybe 10 interviews with 30 minutes each with a bunch of your customers. What are you going to get out of this? What you're going to get out is actually what your customers care about and how you can help them, right? So you're going to understand what are the pain points in their life, what makes them take action, where is the friction, what is annoying the hell out of them, so that when they come to your landing page, they come to your App Store page, and they see that, and that is annoying me, how did you know? And then you can understand how you can soothe that pain. And this is where you're not going to talk about your features, right? Because you're going to have something like, oh, we have a note-taking feature. I don't care you have a note-taking feature. How is that relevant for me? Maybe I have a problem where I can't remember things because I have so many things in my mind. Never forget a task again with our note-taking feature. Oh, yeah, that is my problem. I keep forgetting things. And finally, you're going to understand that entire customer journey, because not all messages are relevant at the same time, right? When you're thinking about something before you're even aware it's a problem, you need to hear one message. When you're in that consideration phase, it's another. When you have some concerns, by the time you're about ready to make a purchase, download an app, okay, but is this going to be good with my privacy? Is my data going to be safe? How much will this cost? Then the message will be around that. So understanding what does that journey look like and what their concerns or questions are at every point in the journey, you can be more effective at communicating it. So I'm going to give you a couple examples of how people have used this in the real world. One's an app, one's not an app. I'm sure you're all familiar with this campaign, right, with Snickers, right? You're not you when you're hungry. So through doing this kind of customer research, talking to their customers, understanding what's the job that Snickers does for them, it wasn't actually a candy bar. It wasn't oh, I have it as a treat. Oh, it's like a sweet treat. It's I'm hungry. I don't have a chance to grab a full meal. I know if I eat Snickers, it's more filling and it satisfies me. People said it's actually satisfying. And this made them rethink their entire category. They weren't competing with Milky Way and Mars Bar anymore. They were competing with actual meals. And this campaign was incredibly effective. I mean, it's pretty global, right? I think you must know about this one. Now, Headspace, of course, an app, maybe you're all familiar with that one. My colleague Generously, who used to work at Headspace, shared with me this. They were positioning their sleep product. And so some of the insights they got around, what were the challenges people had around sleep and their inability to sleep? How was that manifested? How could they talk about that and show how Headspace was the solution to that problem? So one was you can't sleep at night because your mind is racing. Okay, you want to put your mind to bed. I think we can all relate to that one. People who want to sleep in the morning, well, they can't sleep at night, they're so tired, but then they feel disadvantaged. They want to become an early bird. Or if you can't sleep, you feel miserable, right? You have this huge effect on your day. Okay, if I sleep myself happy, then I'll feel better. I can't share the exact numbers because they're not mine to share, but I can tell you that this one did the best, and it was a significant uplift in terms of conversion compared to their standard messaging. So, okay, here's an example from Klarna for you. I recently joined the company about 3.5 months ago, and one of the projects I started working on was positioning our app there. The Klarna app's been around for a while. It's widely downloaded all over the world, but due to some product updates, due to some, our growth strategy going forward, we wanted to reposition the value proposition of the app a little bit. So what did I do? We went and talked to 25 or so different app users, starting in the US only. We're going to expand the research to other markets, though. People who'd recently downloaded the app, so its journey is fresh in their minds, had these conversations with them about what are their pain points, how do they think about shopping, how do they think about payments, what does this using the Klarna app allow them to achieve? And what we got out of this was just absolute gold, right? These customer language themes and insights. So one is around, it reduces shopping guilt. I mean, something that came up in every single interview was when I buy something, even if I can afford it, I feel guilty. How many of you feel guilty when you're buying something that's not like a necessity? Yeah, not you, but right? Like, if I split it up, then I feel bad. I can afford this, but if I split it up, I feel better about it. Yeah, it makes me feel less guilty. It hurts less to make a big purchase. Another thing is that when people are buying something, when they're shopping, they feel so much pride and satisfaction at being good at shopping. Like, when I make a purchase, I feel like a rock star because I bought something at a good deal, not the cheapest, but I got really good value. I got cash back, I used a special code no one else knew about, I paid for it in a smart way. Like, I am so good at shopping. And Klarna is a tool that helps me do that. And finally, despite the sort of media perception, especially in Germany, about like Klarna Schulden, I know about that, people actually feel financially responsible when they're using split payments, right? So it's like, I feel more flexible. I'm not reliant on credit. I have different tools to pay for things. I feel like I'm adulting. I'm putting my big girl pants on because I have different ways to pay for things. So these are the things that came out, right? And it wasn't just, oh, here's what I learned about your app. So from that, we narrowed it down to 2 primary jobs to be done, right? Going back to this jobs to be done framework. And one was around, I want to make the best possible purchase every time. Best doesn't mean cheap. That's like I said, it doesn't have to mean cheap. It's like I want to buy something, feel awesome about it, feel like I made a great decision, I got great value for my money. And the other one is I want to be able to feel like I'm financially responsible. I'm managing my spending and finances. I'm on top of this stuff, especially now in the economic climate we have. So we started to then work with our copywriters, work with our legal team, of course, and test this out in consumer-facing copy and see, does this perform better if at this point in the journey they get a message that's more relevant to where they're at and what's on their minds, right? So one we tested was in Google Play. And so before it was choose to shop smooth with Klarna, which is a bit more brandy, right? And like, what does that actually mean? I don't know. Versus like this messaging around get all the bang, split the bucks. And I want to feel I'm getting great bang for my buck, right? And we've seen that converts better than an original one, for example. Another one we're testing is in transactions and emails. So if you buy something in a merchant, you get an email confirmation. We send you other emails at points in the journey. And there, at that point, we don't want to upsell people, like, go buy something else. They're like, I just bought something. Don't tell me to buy something else. They want to know, like, I want to stay on top of my spending. I want to know my payments are coming. Like, how can I do that? Oh, your app helps me do that, right? So that converted 2 times higher, almost, than the other ones to downloading the app. So we're continuing to test this, continuing to roll this out, using customer language as much as possible, right? Using language that doesn't sound like marketing language that was created in a lab, but actually using the language of our own customers that came from talking to them about what problems we solve. So, in conclusion, rely on not inside-out assumptions, right, but true insights. And those true insights only come from talking to your customers. You can have your assumptions, and that's fine, but you have to validate them by actually going out there and seeing if that's true. And next time, my challenge to you is that you're in a meeting, you're putting together a marketing campaign, you're discussing with a product person, and you're thinking about doing something. Ask the question, what customer insight is this based on? Because if someone can't answer that, you could be about to spend a bunch of money and time on the wrong thing. But if you can say, this is based on this customer insight, that's why I believe it'll be effective, I guarantee you're going to have a lot more success. And if you want more of this, first of all, you should download the Klarna app if you haven't yet. We've got a lot of cool stuff coming. It's going to be updated, so please do that for me. But also, if you are a startup and you're interested in learning more about jobs to be done, how to do customer interviews and customer conversations, I'm a coach in a growth accelerator, and it's a 10-week program for 6 people in your team, including your founder, to go through and learn how to build a system to accelerate growth that's based on customer insights. It's fantastic. If you want to know more about it, ask me. You can apply online. The deadline is in about a month and a half. And if you're an individual head of marketing or growth, and you want to spend a little more time with me learning about putting together a marketing plan, how to work with stakeholders, how to not lose your mind when you're trying to drive marketing at your startup, I'm running a 3-day workshop in a couple weeks. It's 1 hour per day in the evening, so like super low commitment. And if you send me a message on LinkedIn and say you were here, I will give you a 10% discount on the course. So My APS love to all of you. You can find me on LinkedIn or find me today if you have any follow-up questions. Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to present to all of you. I love all my app and mobile growth people. This is truly like such a supportive, amazing community, and it's just been a joy to be here. Thank you.